2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
Welcome, everyone. It is good to be gathered today. You come in from a week of striving, working, pushing, pulling, worrying, celebrating, producing. Perhaps your hands are calloused, blistered, or arthritic from the physical labor or crafting God has called you to. Perhaps your feet ache and need a massage from the steady caregiving or customer service God has called you to. Perhaps your mind has not stopped racing from the business decisions and staff members God has called you to tend to. Perhaps your heart hurts from the friends, family, or clients God has called you to walk with. To all of you, named or unnamed, hear God's call to come and find rest in His presence. That's a little excerpt I found from I can't remember the resource. Now it's just plagiarism. Sorry. Whatever that is. Well, welcome to 2414. My name is Shane Welter.
Hey, Shane.
I'm joined by friend, co-host, colleague, Mr. Pastor, Dr., Reverend, Professor Dan Weber.
Yeah, we did it. Thanks for getting all the titles in there, Shane.
Yeah.
Some of those earned, some not.
Some not. Well, we're continuing talking about rest, talking about a bit of Sabbath, what that is. We're continuing to look at this book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It's not a book study. It's not an in-depth. I guess it's a little in-depth. It's not a book review per se. If you never have this book ever, you'd be fine. We're just kind of talking about it, digesting.
And we're not trying to present John Mark Comer's ideas. It's more of a conversation partner, and we're interacting with his ideas as much as we're trying to share anything from the book.
Yeah. But darn it, he has some pretty good observations.
He says things well that I feel and have felt, and he challenges. I think that's one of the really helpful things about outside voices in life. We get that at church, and you might get that through a coach or a mentor or a counselor, that sometimes you just need someone other than you to say something. Maybe you already knew it. Maybe it's something you never thought of, but having a voice from the outside speak to you, that's kind of a big part of life, which is a big part of why we have this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, just to be able to talk and digest. And I think some of the things we'll be talking about today, we're definitely leaning into we're unrested, but how can we kind of diagnose that? And maybe you don't know you're unrestful, and maybe some of the words of a vocabulary will kind of pull that out from you. It certainly did for me. Life is busy, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not just rest, maybe it's other things, and then kind of digesting some of the things in the chapter we'll be looking at. Be like, oh, yeah, I think something's wrong.
Yeah, if you live in something long enough, and if it's all you've ever known, you don't realize there's another way.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, that's just what everybody feels. It's like, actually, quick story. Before I wear contacts or glasses now, and I didn't know I needed glasses. And in college one time, as a joke, I put somebody's glasses on. I'm like, look at me, I'm wearing glasses. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, there are leaves on that tree.
Is that actually how?
Oh, yeah. I thought the tree was like a trunk with this like green blob around it, the way kids draw trees, like you just kind of color it in with crayon and it's solid. That's what it looked like. And I put on glasses like, oh, there's I knew what leaves were, but I could see the individual leaves. And I was like, wait, do you all see those leaves? They're like, yeah. I was like, I might need glasses.
Oh, no.
But I didn't know I needed glasses. I didn't know better. It was just this slow, decaying of my vision, or degrading, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a different way. Oh, how do I get that?
How do I see as clearly as you? Oh,
so this book in some ways helps. It kind of reminds me and helps me see the pace and the stress or the fervor of my life. There's times for that, but there might be a different or even a better way.
Yeah. So is this what it looks? Is maybe not as tangible as putting on glasses, but hopefully from it you get a clearer perspective.
Yeah.
of what it is to be rested.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to do, but not before we get to share highs and lows, and whether it's backed by popular demand or it might just be for me and Shane, we're going to play a round of Outburst.
Yeah, I suppose you can skip ahead if you want, but
we don't put chapters in. You got to work for it.
Yeah, you got to
on your own.
through it. This is teaching you not to hurry.
That's right.
Just by enduring our
putting up with our banter is a spiritual discipline of sorts. Yeah. All right, Shane, how about a low and a high? How and we have not seen each other much for like 2 weeks.
Oh, this episode's coming
maybe
from
3 weeks.
Little break.
Yeah, so you could maybe go back 3 weeks or just last 3 minutes. Low, high, how are you?
Yeah. How am I? How are things been? I guess a short little summarization of since I've been gone, or since we've got a chance to catch up.
Yeah.
But high and low from that, I think there's been a lot of highs recently of just being able to travel to see family for special occasions is always very just celebratory. So I got to go to Florida, or Lauren and I both got to go to Florida with all my extended family to celebrate my grandparents' 70th wedding anniversary. So they got married back in 1954.
And they're both still alive.
They're both still alive.
70 years. That's so cool.
So it's just, it's unfathomable to me. Lauren and I, while we were down there, it purely coincidental. But Lauren and I's wedding anniversary is June 17th. And we got married at Pensacola, and we got married in my uncle and aunt's backyard, where they live. And so Lauren and I got to be in Pensacola. We got married just coincidentally around that same time too, and it's just insane. Like, all right, my grandparents are. Lauren and I celebrated our 3rd year anniversary. My grandparents 70th.
One at a
their
time.
70th. So it's just what's the
67.
Well, not 60. What's the 70 divided by 3 math?
Oh, percentage-wise? Oh my gosh,
20,
doing all kinds
20
of
something.
Sure.
So we do have to do that 20 some more times to match what they did. But it was really cool. The whole family got to be there, and we got to celebrate just like, man, this is what they created. That's this family.
I wonder how many people who were born even live to 70 years old. Like what percentage of people make it to 70 as a birthday, let alone have been married for 70 years.
With that person for that long.
That's amazing.
It really is. I'm sure it's just unfathomable to some people. It's still just a little crazy to digest for me. But then after that, I got to Are they big fans of the show, by the way? I don't Grandma
know.
and Grandpa,
this one's for you.
If you guys tune into this one, awesome. But the week after, the weekend after that, my brother and his wife, they had their child, baby Asher, and they asked Lauren and I to be the godparents to baby Asher. And so instead of flying back to Washington, back to Wisconsin, and then back, and just doing this roundabout, Lauren and I carpooled with my parents from Florida to Wisconsin.
How long was that?
So it was about 18 hours. With stops and all. So we just drove through.
18 hours.
I got the graveyard. So my dad and I basically just swapped off, and he worked that morning. Early that morning. So I took the graveyard shift, drove from like 8 to 4 or something like that. Yeah, I don't mind it. It was for me. It's kind of therapeutic, just driving long drives.
I can't see at night anymore.
You can't.
I can't see at night. No, it's like too dark.
The lines would have hated it. It's not a straight drive. I thought it's pretty even on the interstate, hilly, windy. But it was really fun just to be able to celebrate the baptism on one end, anniversary on another. So like total opposite side of the spectrum, like a baby infant, and then also my grandparents. It was just really fun.
What are your godparent duties? I've never been a godparent.
Really?
No.
Never. I think it depends on the family.
What are yours? Speak for you.
So
nothing. You stood up there one time.
I would say
you just said yes. You don't even know what the job is.
Lauren is really good at it, and for baby Asher, I'm modeling a little bit from what Lauren's doing for her other child, and part of what she's doing. I guess I could spoil it for the show. She on the baptismal birthday of our godchild, we send a tool like as part of their cool toolkit. So when for their baptismal birthday, we got them a toolbox, and each year after that, we sent them a tool along with like a Bible verse that kind of like a little gimmicky goes with it, but just like equipping you with the tools.
Okay. I like that you moved from Lawrence doing this to we are doing this.
Well, she did it for her other godchild, and now we're doing this together.
Okay.
I didn't like before. It's just kind of we pray for our godchild, but we're both and then socially awkward after that. But now we're doing that. So
cool.
That's all a big high. I would say low. Like as restful as it was, I feel like I'm already just back to like life. Like it's just like
good feeling gone.
Yeah, I was rested for a brief moment, and now now I need to change some habits, or I don't know. I'm just unrested.
I think that often happens around travel or vacation. You got to do extra work to go away. You got to do extra work when you come back.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's you get back into same patterns.
Yeah.
And that maybe isn't good. Sometimes there's just the cost of going away, and you got that catch up work, and then hopefully you're able to get to a healthy spot rather than just, I just go back into the loop. That's not what I want it to be.
Yeah, and I really think it is patterns, because there's comfort in routine. There's so much.
Oh yeah,
and I think it sucks. It makes me more stressed knowing I know what I'm doing wrong, but it's just I'm not act proactive in that yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's in the chapter we're going to look at today or another one, but
maybe.
But he talks about kind of the definition of an addiction, that it's like this.
Yeah.
And other people have written and spoken on it as well, that an addiction is kind of this this more or less pattern or habit that isn't good for you, but you keep going there.
Yeah.
And that covers all kinds of things in life.
It really does. And I think there is a difference between routine and addiction, and I think there's different kinds of addictions too, whether that's chemically addiction,
right,
or just substance addiction, or just there's different kinds to it. And I think part of that, my routines might be that, and just how I use my phone and how I.
Yeah, and for me, that kind of nuance between a routine or an addiction is that extra layer of you don't want to do it, or it has adverse effects, and you keep doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So there's certain routines that are just good, like you brush your teeth every morning, every day. That's not.
Wouldn't call that an addiction.
But if you wish you didn't do something, and yet you have this compulsion and drive to keep doing it, and it's bad for you, and you know it's bad for you, and you can't do otherwise.
But it's hard to pull away. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's where that kind of becomes more than just maybe a bad habit, but it's a bad habit I wish I didn't have, but I kind of feel powerless about it.
Yeah.
Or at least limited in your power about it.
Yeah. Or just just stuck in it. And again, so that's kind of
getting back into routines, but maybe not the routines you want them to be.
Yeah. So it's just, there's a lot going on, I think, from that. And so highs, lows, blah, blah, blah. Me.
That's helpful.
All right. How about you? Highs, lows from the past 6 years?
Yeah, it's been a while, Shane. Lows, easy low to share is still haven't been running. I'm fully recovered from my big adventure, but
no black and blue feet.
I did lose a toenail a couple days ago.
Oh,
well, actually, kind of gross. I lost it halfway.
Is from the run?
Yeah,
assuming?
Yeah. So it's half attached, half not. And
it's not healing after.
No, it's not going to get reattached. But I don't have the willpower to
don't have
it off.
The rusty pliers, right?
No, it's. Do you watch Parks and Rec?
No. Oh gosh! So, if you ask me,
Shane doesn't watch The Office or Parks and Rec. I don't watch new TV or anime or anything else. So I live in this realm of quoting Office and Parks and Rec. Okay, so I'm going to speak to our listeners who have culture and class and have watched Parks and Rec.
Yes.
There's a character named
Ron
Ron Swanson you might be familiar with.
I've heard quotes and I know the character.
So at one of the staff meetings, they're talking about something, and Ron has a toothache, and he's kind of adjusting it. So he pulls out a pair of pliers from his back pocket and rips his tooth out, and people are freaking out. And I think Tom Haverford passes out, and then he kind of cuts to the camera that kind of that style of The Office,
Yeah.
whatever. And he more or less says something like, yeah, I went to the dentist earlier and had pulled it out and asked if I could keep it. I always like to freak my coworkers out.
Just put it
And so he like pretended to just rip it out. So that's where I'm at
amazing.
with the toenail. So that's a little low of, I haven't been running. That's a low. I've got a situation I have to deal with, and I just need somebody to rip it for me. Sorry, listeners. I didn't plan on going there, but that's where I went.
It's honest. It's honest.
Other low is feeling spread thin, not just in a I'm busy way. I think we all say we're busy, and we are busy. I'm unhealthfully busy at times, but a little more acutely feeling, gosh, how do I deal with that? Like I feel like I'm trying to do more than I can or should, and that doesn't feel good. But then there's the next level of, okay, if I've recognized this isn't good or healthy or sustainable, what can I actually do about that?
Yeah.
And that feels daunting right now. So it's on top of the busyness of what I'm trying to do to get ahead of that enough that I can come up with the solution when I feel like I'm barely doing what I need to get done. So how do I stop doing that and think about the bigger problem?
Yeah. And is it more than just a thought? Is it an actionable?
Right. So that's, I'm feeling not just overwhelmed is probably an appropriate word for it.
Yeah.
So just kind of processing, gosh, what do I need to do to make the rhythms in my life sustainable and healthy? Because it feels not there right now. So some highs, some celebrations. I got to go out to Virginia a week ago to surprise my little brother for his 40th birthday party.
Woo!
So he turned 40, surprise party. The low related to that was I had a red-eye flight, and I am too old for that nonsense.
That is no one deserves to take those.
So, but the high, the surprise worked. Like he didn't know.
He had no
my
clue.
brother and I were going to be there.
Was it just you guys?
So it was me, my big brother, and his wife. We were the out of town guests that he wasn't expecting. But then he, his girlfriend also coordinated with some other friends and my dad. So we had we met him at a restaurant, and so that was fun. And then also, some friends from out of town in St. Louis, some family friends growing up came as well. We call them Aunt Judy and Uncle John, but they're not related. They've just been friends of the family forever.
Yeah.
So that was the surprise was effective, but then we just spent time together. We got to go out to dinner and have lunch together and just enjoy a day and a half of quality time. And we found some old home videos, which was ridiculous. There was this like 3-year window where my dad had a camcorder for some reason.
It isn't. Was it the VHS camcorder?
It was like VHS, but they were like the size of an audio cassette tape. So there were smaller cassettes, a little thicker, but video. So it was surreal to see. So these were from, I would say, like 98 through 2001 home videos.
Yeah.
But what was...
That's a full decade span? How?
No, like 98 through 2001.
Oh, I thought you said 91.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So like this 3-ish year window.
Yeah.
And several of them were like Christmases, where like there was cameras just on a tripod for the whole Christmas for like 4 hours.
It's just watching.
Yeah, just
the
in
whole
the
thing.
basement at grandma's house. But what's crazy is, and it was so alien, there were no cell phones or smartphones, at least.
Yeah.
Some people had cell phones, but like, even the people, like I probably had a cell phone in those times.
Yeah.
But you never saw a phone. No one had a device. Everyone
It wasn't something you would kill your time on.
Yeah, everyone was just talking to each other. Like the kids were just part of the conversation with the grown-ups, or the kids were just listening to the grown-ups.
Kids maybe had toys
and
like
talking to themselves. Yeah, and then my big brother pointed out there were no Amazon boxes. So we watched hours of this stuff while people were unwrapping. Every one of those presents, people went to a store and picked out. And
how many were like J.C. Penney boxes? Do you remember those? Like if we went to like J.C. Penney or Boston, what is it? Those old like mall clothing stores. They'd always put your clothes in like a
flimsy cardboard box.
Yeah. Those were, I think, were the old Amazon boxes.
Yeah. So it was just this weird. It wasn't that long ago, but it was strange to watch.
So you never saw those?
No, we had no idea what was going to be on these cassettes.
We've got our family's got some.
Okay.
grocery bags of like cassette. 'Cause my dad had a period where he just had the camcorder, and he was just like vlog. He's not like turning the camera around and like talking to it, but he would just like film everything that was going on.
That's awesome.
And it's always surreal watching. Like what? So like, so I would try to be intentional when I can with like big events. Try to just film, record. We were taking so many pictures, but like we're in the 21st century. We have videos. Like just you can record things, and it will mean that much more to you when you go back to watch those.
So that was a high. Another high is yesterday, I guess or 2 days ago, we had 2 young men from this congregation who finished their undergraduate studies and then their seminary studies, and they were ordained into the pastoral ministry. So Sam Hogue and Dylan Weber became pastors, were kind of recognized by the church and consecrated by God to serve in that way. So that was a really cool celebration to be part of, and I got to preach at that, which was a huge honor. Even though I preach week after week after week, that was a really special occasion. I was honored to be part of it, and good day to celebrate.
It was very celebratory.
So those are some highs and lows.
Yay.
All right, we're a half hour into the episode.
Yay, good.
This is good.
Yeah. If you want to know how to play Outburst, it's like Jeopardy. That's all I'll say. If you want to know the details, you can Google the rest.
By the way,
not Jeopardy. Not Jeopardy.
Trivia,
Family Feud.
Family Feud.
Not Jeopardy.
By the way, we are modeling our show, right? Or the name of our book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Some of our listeners are like, can you please get to it? We'll get there.
Can you please just shut up?
We'll get there. You can scrub ahead if you want. We're okay. We're going to take 58 seconds or whatever is on this timer, and I'm going to read a category. Shane and I are going to try to outburst, verbally explode, to try to get all 10 answers that are going to be revealed through the magic technology of this red plastic secret decoder sleeve. While you are listening, now's a good time to pause it and pull over, get out a pen and paper or a Post-it note, open up a note on your phone, or just shout in the car. If you're on a subway or an airplane or a bus, you can tap the person next to you and say, hey, I'm about to play a game. You want to get down? This might be our origin story. We could be new best friends. So maybe somebody on the bus also knows the top 10 whatever, and this is where you guys met.
This is it. You're making history.
We're making history. Historically, Shane, what would you guess our average is out of the 10 responses on the kit card?
3.5.
Yeah, that's probably about right. I was going to say 4.
It's low. I think it's abysmal.
It's not good. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. Yes, this is the show. The game that we're going to play of Outburst was published somewhere in the mid to late 80s. So all of these are dated. This came out before Shane was born. And here we go. This is a good category. We're going to nail this one.
We're going to do it.
I feel good.
We're going to win.
Small kitchen appliances. We're going to name 10 small kitchen appliances. Go.
All right. Butter knife?
A toaster. That's not appliance.
I get. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mixer.
Blender.
Blender, mixer. I think that's different. Coffee maker.
Is it toaster?
Waffle iron.
I'd say toaster oven.
Okay. Toaster and toaster oven. Waffle iron.
What do you think? Yeah, you said mixer.
Bread maker. Bread machine. That's a thing. Coffee grinder.
I'm
different than a coffee pot.
Margarita machine.
Margarita machine. Just blender. Did we say blender?
I said blender.
Okay. Refrigerator's too big, but I'm going to say it just because.
Mini fridge.
Mini fridge. That's a small kitchen appliance.
It is. Yep. Microwave. Oh my.
Microwave. That's good. Microwave.
Just say oven in case. Dishwasher.
Okay. Dishwasher. There you go. Small kitchen appliances. Time.
I could not think of.
I think we got all of them. You would have spit water out if you had it in your mouth, Shane. You're disgusted by my optimism.
I feel like there's going to be more than just non-electronic stuff.
No, an appliance has to be electronic.
Are you sure?
Like, it's not gonna have like a whisk on there. Or
I'm scared.
Your first answer was butter knife.
I stand by it. That is a small.
I stand by it,
dude. If you saw a butter knife in the 1500s, that might as well be an electronic.
I think we got 10. How many do you think we got? This is our first sweep.
We
This
got
is our first one.
I'm guessing 4.
Oh, Shane.
There's going to
So
be a
disappointing.
schlimblbloob, and we're not going to know
All
what
right.
it is.
All right. Shane says 4. I say 10. Friends at home. How many do you think we got? Here we go.
No.
Number 1, coffee maker.
Hey.
Oh, we did not get 10. I'll tell you right now.
Oh, I
Dang
know.
it.
I know.
All right, coffee maker. We got 1 for 1.
1.
Number 2, toaster.
You said toaster.
Yep, 2 for 2. This is where we start to fall apart.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Number 3, broiler oven.
I said toaster oven, but I guess that's
Is
different.
it broiling's like toasting, right?
It is,
I'm gonna-
but it's omnidirection, or it's one direction.
All right, we'll get a half
so
for
it's-
broiler oven.
Yeah. Well,
Here's what
unless there's another oven. Then we're
And number 4, can opener. Do you remember electric can openers? Do you have an electric can opener?
My mom has one.
We used to. I remember growing up.
I hate it.
It was so loud.
It's so. It's so
Unnecessary.
It's
What
more work.
unnecessary.
It's more work to use an electronic can opener than it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
an
what a-
interesting appliance that really went like it had a heyday. You had to have
guess
an
you-
electric can
you
opener.
still- I mean,
Maybe
they-
some people do.
Yeah.
We've got a, to be fair, we've got a pampered chef one that Charlotte got at a party. It's real fancy, real fancy. All right, we did not get can opener. Number 5, we did not get juicer.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
You'd like it were.
Some people still juice.
I think it's a great invention.
Okay, we
It's
didn't get
just
that.
way overpriced for
All right,
what it does.
Number 6, blender. We got blender.
Yeah.
Number 7, food processor. Different than a juicer.
Yeah.
Somehow we did not get food processor.
processor.
Oh my goodness. Number 8, knife sharpener. A small kitchen appliance.
Forgot about my industrial grinder for my
Oh
butter
my
knife.
goodness. Number 9, electric skillet.
Electric.
Like a little like
So like a
plug-in
hot-
griddle, like a hot.
What do you call it? A hot plate?
Yeah.
Just like a.
Like a griddle, like a plug-in. Instead of frying eggs on the stovetop like a normal person, you plug in this other thing.
Yeah.
And number
Okay.
10, corn popper. So not the stovetop popper, but like you plug in the thing. I actually remember this. It was kind of like it was yellow and brownish. We had
Is
it
this
growing
different
up.
than a popcorn
So
machine?
we had this growing up. Instead of before microwave popcorn and after the skill like the stovetop one, there were
Yeah.
these things you'd pour the corn in it and like push the button.
I mean, we've got a popcorn machine, but it's probably very different than what you're describing.
So we got coffee maker, toaster, blender,
and maybe
and
broiler
half
oven.
of broiler oven. Shane, you guessed 4.
I overshot.
You still over, even with your pessimism, you still overshot. I was so confident.
I was not. Oh, I was not at all.
We said
Small
We
kitchen
said so
appliance.
many small kitchen appliances.
We also said dishwasher. I've never seen a. I couldn't think of. I was trying to think 80s style.
They didn't have dishwashers back then, believe it or not, Shane. Wasn't
Everything was
invented until
hand-washed.
2004.
I believe it.
No, I'm just kidding. All right. Wow, that was both fun and disappointing.
Just like life.
Another game of Outburst. Another round. We did it. So our chapter. What's our chapter today, Shane? This is a great. The chapter is perfect for this game that we just played. Something is deeply wrong. That's the name of the chapter.
Yeah, in the theme of having electric can openers, something is deeply wrong. We didn't have the patience to simply just open up a can with our hands. We had to get this machine to do it at half the speed, trick us that it was efficient.
Creating these jagged edges that cost your children a finger.
This is terrible.
So our series here, we're looking at rest. We're looking at Sabbath. We're having a conversation with this book and with each other. And first couple episodes, previous couple episodes, we've been talking about the speed of life. Things just go faster. Our schedules are busy. Our technology allows us to see more and do more. Our attention spans are shorter. And maybe you could listen to all that and say, yeah, I still don't see the downside. or I'm okay. I'm getting more done. I'm connected to all these people. And to be clear, Shane and I are not trying to convince anybody that you're doing it wrong or that you're, not living at your best. He and I'll speak for myself, I am recognizing that I don't think I'm at my best or at my healthiest. And I think this conversation around rest is helping put words to what I'm feeling. So our chapter today is going to move beyond just describing the culture around us and instead of implying it's good or bad, this chapter is going to kind of help us look inside of ourselves and say, in light of all the stuff going on around us, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I would summarize this chapter.
I think so. I think it's the evaluation of like, all right, of what we've discussed so far. Are you feeling like this? Does this make you feel like X, Y, Z? Like, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah. So if this is the world we're living in, how are you doing in that world? And he uses this phrase kind of middle of page 46, hurry sickness, kind of describing or labeling this state of hurrying as almost like a disease, that we have an ailment, that there's something that's not good in us that's related to the state at which we're living.
Yeah.
And the rate maybe at which we're living.
Yeah. And I think he uses a lot of car examples in this chapter. And I think that's just such a
What do you mean?
Good.
I don't remember.
Well, maybe it's from this chapter. It made me more like observant to it. I feel like an epidemic. I don't know in U.S. It's just people's patience on the road, myself included. Like, just simply, like, if you hit every red light, will you complain about it when you get to your destination?
And get more and more anxious and like angry each time.
Yeah,
like the world's out to get you.
Yeah, and just like a slow car in the fast lane, which might be a deeper issue than just patience. But even still, I think that's like, we are so impatient on the road, yet like we're getting places faster than human history has ever gotten, and we still can't be happy. And I said, myself included, like I'm the worst. Like when I like waiting for something, like I need to be here, and I'm so antsy, and that just brings out the worst in me. Like,
Yeah. So on page 46, he gives a few definitions of hurry sickness that touches on what you just said, that it brings out the worst in you. So one, he says a behavior pattern characterized by continual rushing and anxiousness. So it's not just the rushing, like we're trying to do a lot, but how that rushing might relate to kind of a corresponding anxiousness in us. He gives another. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I connect with the next example too. Like a malaise. How do you say that? What is that?
Malaise. Malaise. Malaise.
I don't like that word. Malaise.
It's very hoity-toity.
Do you know what it means? I don't.
Yeah, it means kind of like you're not at ease, like a discontent, a sickness.
All right, I'll just say
a feeling of not being at ease.
A feeling of not being at ease in which a person feels chronically short of time, and so tends to perform every task faster and to get flustered when encountering any kind of delay. Yeah, I feel that. Like doing dishes, like I just want to be done, doing it as quickly as I can, and then just get angry when something's in my way. Like, dang it! Like,
so I'm trying to go faster, and so any kind of delay is just intolerable.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That reminds me, by the way, there's a quote early in the book that something like, hurry is the enemy of prayer. Like you can't pray well or thoughtfully if you're hurrying.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. Like you can, Lord save me, as you're, crashing or whatever.
But I get, like, if you're not giving, well, because the same goat, like if you're trying to hurry in conversations, it's probably not a meaningful, odds are. I mean, maybe it can't be in certain situations, but if you're not giving intentional time to, like in a relationship, you're hurrying through a conversation, it's not going to be a meaningful conversation. The same, I think, goes for prayer too. Like if you're that time you're spending with God is always just rushed, hurried. Lord, help me gather safely. Bye. Like, amen, or whatever. Like, it's like, it's not a deep, it doesn't sound like a deep relationship, but like me, especially when I do it, like I want to give God meaningful time.
Yeah. And I also like he kind of makes it broader than just from a spiritual point of view. He's quoting this guy, Meyer Friedman, was a cardiologist who was trying to he's looking at his patients to see if there were personality traits that were related to their heart health. And what he found is he actually is the one who came up with this phrase of hurry sickness. And he defined a continuous struggle and unremitting or unrelenting attempt to accomplish or achieve more and more things or participate in more and more events in less and less time. That's the world we live in. We're doing more in less time. And he said that these kind of type A people who are chronically angry and in a hurry, he wondered, how is this affecting their heart? And he found that those people who were trying to do more and more in less and less time were the most at risk of his cardiovascular patients. So they had this harrying, it's like the word hurry, but this attacking, like anxiety, this being flustered by pressure.
So even if it's a problem you don't sense, or it's one of those like long-term health things. It's
so
not
the sense of urgency always on them put them in the highest risk for heart attack.
is not good for your health, even more than just mentally.
Yes. And then the crazy thing that the author points out is that was in the 1950s. So for 75 years, we've known just from the scientific community and the medical community that trying to go faster and faster is literally killing you. Like it puts you at higher risk for a heart attack. And we have only gotten faster since then.
We've gotten infinitely worse.
Yeah, we've only tried to squeeze
I
more
guess.
in. Yeah, we've only tried to squeeze more into our lives since then. So the bottom of page 47, he says, hurry is a form of violence on the soul. So we are damaging what makes us most human by rushing.
And I guess not even, yes, soul especially, but I mean, into literally your heart. Like, sure, metaphorically, but like literally too. Like, it's not good.
But Shane, I don't know that we in our conversation here have really tried to define what we mean by hurry. We keep using this word hurry, and the book uses it a lot. And I don't really care what the author of the book means. What are you hearing or thinking or feeling when we say hurry and hurry sickness? Like, is that just your calendar's full? Does it mean you're walking fast? Does it mean you're talking fast? What do we mean by hurry? Because I can imagine somebody's listening to this at home or in their car going, "Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot, but I'm not sure if I'm hurrying."
Yeah, I guess I think my definition of hurry is more so is probably closer to more overwhelmed kind of hurry. Like if I'm looking at a overview of everything that I want or need to do to make people happy or to like satisfy. Whether they're good things or not, I want to do good things for other people, and in that kind of overwhelmness, that clutter of life, not everything is like infinitely time sensitive, or like there's not an unlimited time to do it. So there's just always this like ticking of a clock to get things done. For a fear of lack of patience from others, but also just like fear like from myself too, of just like I want to make people happy. I want to get these things done. I want to do these things, and it's just I think like just an ever growing list. And so I think that hurriness comes from a franticness of like, I need to get these done because I need this other stuff done, and I got to get all this stuff done, and I can't actually leisurely do that. Like, am I taking my time getting these things done? No, No, I'm trying to get this done so I could get this other thing done.
Yeah.
So I can get it done so that could be done so I can relax. And so like, and even in the relax, it's just like, I got to work so hard just to feel earned in that like relaxed. And I think that's the hurriness I'm pushing after.
Yeah, several things I heard there. Kind of a feeling of being overwhelmed. I heard you talking about like striving and the pressure of getting things done. I also use the word clutter. I like that because I think we can talk about physical clutter, but like when somebody's selling a house, they stage their house, which usually means they get rid of like 2/3 of the stuff.
Put it in storage.
Yeah, because a prospective home buyer, when they come in and it's empty of clutter, it feels more peaceful. Mm-hmm. And so our physical clutter is kind of maybe representative sometimes of just what's going on in our heads and in our calendars. There's just so much crap everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's not peaceful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I see it like physical clutter and even like computer clutter too.
Oh, my desktop is the worst.
Yeah, because I'm always looking at my computer and like I could organize these files and I could organize like papers in my office too and everything else. But like all that clutter is just, I feel like so symbolic to my brain. Like,
yeah, and if I could maybe even summarize what you said in some words that sound cheap or cliche, and I've heard these words before and I don't like them at times, but I think it really fits here that what you were describing of hurrying has so much to do with doing and not being. Mm-hmm. Like you're just doing this and doing that as opposed to just stop.
And I think too in my brain I get the two mixed up often because I hear it a lot like to be still, like just be calm, and like, and I think I absolutely can be in a moment, but there is that sense of urgency in that, like, okay, like, all right, I can be still in this task. I shouldn't take my time at this task. Like this is work. Like I got to get it done. Like,
yeah. And you mentioned the word leisure as well. And it made me think of, leisure can sometimes in our context, we equate that with entertainment. Like I'm gonna play a game, I'm gonna watch a show, like I'm gonna go to the Mariners game, but that can still be like a busy activity. So yesterday, for example, I've had a couple of long days here in the office, but I left the house yesterday morning and I told Charlotte, I said, okay, I'm probably going to be home sometime between 5 and 5:30, and I need to leave by 5:30 for track practice. She's like there's not a lot in there. Like, and that's what happened. I mean, I got home at like 5:15. I shoveled food in my face, and then I left at 5:30, and then I got home at like 8:30, and besides those 15 minutes, I was gone for 13 hours straight, and then I had a shower and went to bed. And
that was it.
I didn't have. I had a Zoom call in the morning, so I started working about 7 in the morning. I got home at a little after 5. Then I left at 5:30, and I got home at 8:30, and that was my day. And like a lot of that was good stuff. Like I went running with my son and coaches, but it wasn't. It was a recreational activity, which is a little bit different than like leisure time or just resting. And so I think another word, as we kind of define hurry here, maybe by contrast, is the word margin. Like where do you have space in your, not just your schedule, but like emotionally, so that like, here's where I realize I'm hurried or not is what happens if I'm interrupted. So use the red light example earlier.
Yeah.
Does a red light frustrate you, or is it, the lights are red, sometimes they're green, sometimes they're yellow, that's how it works? Like, is it just part of life, or is it like, oh no? Or if somebody says, hey, do you have a minute for I got a question, or can we talk about something? It's like, I really don't, as opposed to, of course, this is important.
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to say like, say yes but it's like life, everything is so situational. Like I love I love driving from like Florida to Wisconsin. It's just, I know we're going to get there. We're not in a rush, but it's very leisure. Like just, hey, one way or another, we're going to get there. We're not per se really racing against the clock. Like we're driving. All right. Like as long as we're moving, great, or whatever. But there's like certain times like, oh, the concert starts in 30 minutes and I'm hitting every red light. I'm just so frustrated. And yeah, there is like a TikTok, but they're like there's a thing to be at. But then there's also times where just like I'm restless and then I'm hitting every red light. Like I've got nowhere to be, nothing to do, but wow, like it's still frustrating. And I think the same in conversation too. Like, no, I've got my dentist appointment in 5 minutes. I can't talk. Or like, no, I just really want to get home. I can't talk. Like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or when you're driving, you reminded me of those scenic overlooks that are often along the freeway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when's the last time you just said, I'm just going to stop there and look? And maybe even beyond, just like, I'm going to take the selfie. What if you just, when's the last time you were on a road trip and you took 30 minutes or an hour and took in that view? Like never. That doesn't happen. If any, like you just say, look at those suckers. We're going to get by them now. I'm going to make up time. They're going to get there slower. Or they took the picture and it cost them 7 minutes to get off the freeway and take the picture and get back on. I'm winning. Or when's the last time you were for a walk and like you saw a beautiful tree and just stopped and enjoyed it? Or you saw a caterpillar on the ground and you like just bent over and watched it crawl. Like interruptions like that of like, just to slow down and say, I have enough space in my moment that I can take this thing in. Or maybe it's not even a beautiful thing. Maybe it's I feel something inside me. What is that? Oh, I think I'm sad. Why am I sad? Oh yeah, that's a reason to be sad. And what made me think of this sad thing? And when's another time I was sad? And what does it mean to be sad and to share that? Like, I don't even have time to acknowledge my feelings.
Yeah.
And I don't have time. Sounds like a victim, but
well,
I don't choose to have that margin in my life
to not give yourself that space that at times.
So to me, these are all like things of like making this picture, this puzzle of like, what if the puzzle picture is hurry, I'm just kind of putting a bunch of pieces in. So I don't have margin, or I'm feeling pressured, or I'm doing more than being, or I'm not very interruptible.
Yeah. Is that how you define it for yourself?
That's how as I'm thinking about hurry in this series that we're in, it's less about I walk too fast or talk too fast, but it's more, am I harried? Am I feeling attacked by the pace of life? Do I have space to just like, if my kid says, Daddy, can we go for a walk? Is my first thought, of course? Or is it, let me look at my phone or my watch, or what's the next thing? Or just the answer is no, because we got to go to this other thing. Which there's times for that. If we're supposed to leave for the choir concert and they wait to the last minute to ask you,
can we go for a walk? No, we're going to miss.
But is my first thought, or, I had a friend text me yesterday, hey, Pastor Dan, can we, you got time for a beer? Can we just go hang out? And I didn't. And I was like, well, it was Monday. And I said, well, maybe, can you squeeze me in next Monday? And I was like, this person lives 1.5 miles away. And realistically, to spend 30 minutes or 90 minutes together would be so life-giving for both of us. But the answer was, I don't have time for that because I was racing from home. I was going to get home between 5 and 5:30. I had to leave by 5:30. I was going to get home till 8:30.
Yeah. And it just
So I was hurried, not because I was driving fast, but I didn't have space for something that objectively I know is a good and life-giving thing.
So it's just that, I guess, a really simplified explanation of maybe of how we're describing hurry is just not giving the time or the attention to the things in life that really matter.
Yeah, having space for it.
Maybe. I also something that really connected with me within this chapter, talking about this hurry sickness. I really loved the examples he used. So I talked about like the red lights, but other ones I think are just really good. Like for me, they struck a chord in me of like,
Sure.
Are these symptoms of your hurry sickness?
So he's got 10 symptoms. 10.
Well, there were those. Sorry, there were those.
Okay.
There was the literal ones of like he's got words for it,
Sure.
but like other examples from the Time Cure. I don't know.
Okay.
But from moving from one checkout line to another because it looks shorter, faster. Yeah, why wouldn't you want to get out of the grocery store faster? These are just like no-brainers to me. I'm like, this is efficient with my time. I'm gonna do this. But I think it's a cult. We're in a culture too of like, oh, like you'd be dumb if you didn't move to that line. Like the person behind you is probably like, sir, you go to that line. Like they're trying to help you out. You'd be crazy to say, no, this line is good for me.
Yeah, you're sitting in traffic and the other lane seems to be going faster and it feels personal, like the universe is out to get you. And then you get over there and then the other one and you're like, oh, well, of course now that one goes faster.
Yeah.
And it's like, just take a breath. It's okay. And, you know, in our clearer thinking moments, we realize this probably isn't the universe out to get you. Mm-hmm. And it probably doesn't actually matter. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, the fact that you moved over and then, of course, the other lane went 10 feet up, like that is such an affront to your well-being. And like, it's this personal insult. And like, in that moment, it's like somebody's insulted your mother.
Yeah.
And like, wow, like what happened? Why is that going on in my heart?
Yeah. And in life,
and you're hitting the steering wheel and, oh, come on.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. Like it could not matter less unless your pregnant wife was on.
Yeah.
But even already, So then, the other example, counting the cars in front of you and either getting in the lane. Yeah, it was what we just said because it's faster. Feel that. And then multitasking to the point of forgetting one of the tasks. I don't know if I do that because I'm rushing or because that's just how short my attention span is. But I think it's all related anyway, because that's the epitome of my life. Like I'm getting this thing done, and then I'm like, oh, I need to. Well, within this task, there's another one, and then another one, and then before I know it, I'm looking at the birthday gifts on Amazon. Like, how did I get here? What am I doing? Like, this isn't
kind of this anxiousness that you keep trying to fill with something. I've mentioned this before, I'm sure, but in that digital minimalism book that I really enjoy, one of the things they found was that a lot of people were successful in reducing their smartphone usage simply by buying a watch. Because they realized...
Is that different than a smartwatch?
Well, yeah. You gotta clarify these things. But they realized they were going to their smartphone to check the time, and when they check the time, it's like, well, while I'm here, I may as well open up this thing, then this other thing, then this other thing. Yeah. And simply by having the time on their wrist, they avoided that cycle that was unhealthy for them. And it's interesting.
That's true. It's almost like phones are designed to.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a whole economy that's based on your attention. Crazy. All right, Shane. The Comer here. He gives 10 symptoms of hurry sickness.
These are the finite ones. I really love these symptoms that he gave. And from there, he said you can rate each of these from 1 to 10.
Yeah, where are you at with each of these?
10 being the yes, you most relate and this is happening. The 1 being that, I don't feel that at all.
I put a check mark. I didn't write them number 1 to 10. I just sort of put a check mark next to the ones that resonated with me.
Ooh, I did numbers.
And I put a check mark next to almost all of them. Yep, that's unfortunately going on.
Yeah, I think some very much resonated me much deeper, but then also some I don't think you have to feel every single one of these to the T, but I really love the definitions like he gives in these.
And you might not, people at home listening, driving, you might not feel into these. I mean, you might hear me and Shane, belly aching here, and you might go, you know what? My life's not so bad, or I'm actually handling this better than those two guys, and that's okay. This isn't we're not trying to make anybody feel bad, or we're not trying to say woe is us. We're just trying to recognize, is this true of me, and if so, why? And am I okay with that, or should I do something about it? So, here are the the 10 symptoms of hurry sickness.
Do you want to read?
Yeah,
I
want to go back and forth through these.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I really love his explanation.
So I'll do the odd ones. Number 1, he says irritability. So you get mad, frustrated, or just annoyed way too easily. Little normal things irk you. People have to tiptoe around your ongoing low-grade negativity, if not anger. So people are nervous around you because you have a short fuse, basically. You are an irritable person, and you make other people uncomfortable because they realize you're going to blow a gasket at the slightest sign. Mm-hmm. I get mad at my kids for not being patient, and I go from like 0 to 10 at how impatient they are. And then I feel so much guilt and shame over how hypocritical I am. I'm like, well, you just be patient with your sister. Oh, that's why you aren't, because I've modeled the opposite over and over and over again. And then I realized maybe my response was not proportionate to what was happening there. So irritability, I see that in myself of my frustration is often well beyond what a situation actually calls for.
I feel like we will fill each other's cracks like through this, honestly, through this one. But that was number 1. Number 2, hypersensitivity. John Mark says, all it takes is a minor comment to hurt your feelings, a grumpy email to set you off, or a little turn of events to throw you into an emotional funk and ruin your day. Minor things quickly escalate to major emotional events. Depending on your personality, this might show up as anger or nitpickiness or anxiety or depression or just tiredness. Point is, the ordinary problem of life this side of Eden have a disproportionate effect on your emotional well-being and relational grace. You can't seem to roll with the punches. Yeah, that was my like most related, like, oh my goodness, yes, to the T.
Somebody says something negative and you are down for the rest of the day.
The day gone,
if not more.
Yeah. Like, hope the morning starts off well because my day depends. Like, it's like I don't want to live this way, but man, it.
Yeah,
sure as heck feels like it.
And to add a little nuance, let's say a church member sends you a negative email and it ruins your day. I think we're able to say that person who sent it may have been inappropriate or unhelpful in what they were saying, or they may have been totally right and constructive. But despite their intentions or method, you're able to feel in yourself, my response was bigger than it should have been.
Absolutely.
So just because you responded poorly doesn't mean they were right. They might have been sinful in what they did.
Yeah.
And you might have overreacted in how you received it.
And like, especially like email messages, there's no tone or like emotion to it. And the person could have just been like the most gleeful, like, and it's just purely just a comment remark. And it might even been a compliment, but just in this hypersensitive state, like, no, it's like, doesn't matter. Woe is me.
Everybody's so mean. All right, number 3, restlessness. When you actually do try to slow down and rest, you can't relax. So you might be, reading your Bible and you're just bored. And like, how much longer do I have to do this thing? Or how many more verses or pages is there? And you've kind of moved on from the fact that maybe the God of the universe is speaking to me. Boring. I know this story already. Or another example of restlessness. And this happened to me yesterday. I'm watching TV, which is entertainment and kind of supposed to be leisure. But while I'm watching it, there's a lull in the action. And so I slowly get to my phone. I wonder how the Cardinals are doing. Okay, what's happening in the story? Okay, and see if anybody emailed me in the last minute. And just... I even when I'm resting, I'm not.
Yeah. And it just, to feel that unsatisfaction from that.
So that's part of hurried. Even when I'm trying to relax, I still have this hurry sickness in me. Mm-hmm. All right, number 4.
Number 4, workaholism, or just nonstop activity. You just don't know when to stop, or worse, you can't stop. Another hour, another day, another week. Your drugs of choice are accomplishment and accumulation. These could show up in careerism or just your obsessive house cleaning or errand running. In order to feel accomplished, you just have to be doing tasks, get things done to like check off the boxes.
The final couple sentences of this one really hit home for me sometimes.
In that one,
the sunset fatigue, he called it, where by day's end you have nothing left to give to your spouse, children, or loved ones. They get the grouchy, curt, overtired you, and it's not pretty. Mm-hmm. That's really convicting.
That one was very convicting to me too. Of just like I gave everything I could, so I could do the best I could for my job, my vocation calling where I'm at, and so I've got nothing left to give for the people who are really there for me in my life.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Number 5, emotional numbness. You just don't have the capacity to feel another's pain, or your own pain for that matter. Empathy is a rare feeling for you. You just don't have the time for it. You live in this kind of constant fugue. So it's just, I don't have the energy to really care. Mm-hmm. This reminds me, I went to the gym the other day, and I left early because I went to like relax. I wanted to be this peaceful thing. Mm-hmm. And it was the day after the debate, the presidential debate. So there were these two guys arguing. And one was just like Mr. CNN, and the other one was just Mr. Fox, and it was disgusting. Like
just the worst case of humanity.
They could not even pretend to care what the other person was saying. All it was like, your side is so dumb and my side is so right, and I couldn't listen to it. I had to leave. Like it was so overwhelming for me, and I realized how. So seeing these guys made me aware of how little I listen. Mm-hmm. Like whether I disagree with somebody or they're just sharing their experience, I realized how hard it is to just try to understand them. Mm-hmm. Rather than trying to convince you or move you along. Like, what is it you're going through and thinking and feeling? Yeah. And can I really like listen to that and say, it really sounds like this? And they might say, no. Okay, well, help me understand.
Or is like the most important thing in their life and their heart and soul, like this moment of proving this person that they're right. Like,
yeah. So the diminished capacity to care about how somebody else is doing.
And that's the emotional numbness.
Yeah. So again, these are John Mark Comer's. This isn't scientific, but he's saying these are 10 symptoms that you might be experiencing this hurry sickness if these are characteristics in your life. And then some of these, we're all just broken people. We live in a broken world. So just because we experience broken things doesn't mean we're all rushing and that has to be the only problem.
Yeah. And that's the diagnosis of it.
But I do think for me, what he's defining, we got a couple more here, what he's defining as symptoms of hurry sickness. I think for me, a lot of these do go back to the fact that I don't have margin and space and an actual downtime and leisure because I'm just go.
Mm-hmm.
So number 6.
All right, number 6. Out of order priorities. You feel disconnected from your identity and calling. You're always getting sucked into the tyranny of the urgent, not the important. Your life is reactive, not proactive. You're busier than ever before, yet still feel like you don't have time for what really matters to you. Months often go by, or months, or God forbid, maybe it's been decades, and you realize you still haven't gotten around to all the things you said were the most important in your life. Yeah. Yeah.
That final one struck me there.
That really, I think once it got to the months, years, maybe decades, and you realize you haven't gotten to the things you said were most important. I'm just like, yeah, that just hits me hard of just like, I know I always talk to myself about priorities and what's important in life, and like I still feel like unaccomplished in that. Like,
so in this sense, hurry might mean you're just racing through life and you're not actually thinking about what you're doing, or you're not choosing to do it on purpose, so that if somebody paused your life and said, Shane, what's most important to you? You'd have probably a relatively small subset of answers. Mm-hmm. And then if they said, show me, or, here's the videotape of the last week or month or year of how you spent your time, would that actual spending of time reflect what you just said is the most important things in your life?
Mm-hmm. No, it would not. But
yeah, the answer is maybe not.
But yeah, it's this just kind of this your priorities are out of whack, even if you feel like your priorities are good. It doesn't feel it like.
And you might have great priorities, but you might not actually be living it out. All right, number 7, lack of care for your body. So you don't have time for the basics. 8 hours of sleep at night, which, by the way, our world thinks, oh, I'm a hero, I only need 4 hours or whatever. That might be really unhealthy for you.
It
probably is.
It probably is.
So yeah, we're not trying to make you feel bad. So you don't have time to sleep. You don't have time for exercise or healthy home cooked food. He says, he uses the phrase minimal stimulants. So meaning I need to drink coffee in the morning to start my day. Check. I need to take a what's that, like sleep supplement that your body melatonin at night to fall asleep. Check. Like, what does it say about how I'm treating my body if I'm eating garbage in the middle of the day? I'm not even like chewing or sitting down. I'm just like shoving food in while I'm walking. I start with caffeine to get the day going. I end with melatonin. That maybe there's something out of sync if I need to chemically induce my body to do what it's supposed to be doing all day long. Anyway, again, this is not Dan casting stones at you. I'm describing my every single morning and most of my evenings. I start the day with caffeine and I usually end the day with melatonin, and I do not get enough servings of fruit and vegetables in between.
Let alone, are you taking the time to take care of yourself?
So anyway, that's you might be rushing through life if the very basic things like eating and sleeping
and just walking
if those are nothing more than like functional things, like is food just fuel, or is a meal a beautiful thing? This was in a parenting book a while ago, I remember, and we have not implemented it very well, but the idea has stuck with me like this pebble in my shoe, that when you have kids, especially, it can be really difficult to get dinner ready, and you're entertaining the kids and they're watching the screen. You're trying to get dinner ready. And this author said something along the lines of like, what if rather than trying to get through meal prep and dinner so that you could like do your evening activity and like that activity later was like real life, what if cooking a meal with your kids was real life? Oh wow, like all of a sudden now I have every single day I have these opportunities for real meaningful connection over something that matters, rather than seeing this just as a chore to get through quickly as possible so we can do this entertaining thing later. What if I recognized preparing and eating a meal together is family time? Anyway, it sounds so obvious, and yet it's really hard
but
still.
Also crazy.
All right, what's the next one, Shane? Yeah.
All right. Number 8, escapist behaviors. When you're too tired to do what's actually life-giving for your soul. I just got to that was a line I just had to underline a few times. When we're too tired to do what's actually life-giving for our soul, we each turn to our distraction of choice. Overeating, overdrinking, binge watching, browsing social media, surfing the web, looking at porn. Name your preferred cultural narcotic. Narcotics are good, healthy, even on an occasional and short-term basis when they shield us from unnecessary pain. But when we abuse them to escape from reality, they eat us alive. You find yourself stuck in the negative feedback loop of socially acceptable addictions. Man, were we just talking about this episode? We were just talking about like addictive behaviors, unhealthy routines, things that are bad. I think I use my phone, like binge YouTube or Reddit, social medias, whatever, just to feel rested, because I've convinced myself. Yet I never feel rested when I do it.
Yeah, we've almost equated entertainment with rest.
Yeah,
but the entertainment isn't restful.
No, it's not. In fact, it stresses me out more often because I see the news. I see everything that's wrong in this world and wrong with me, from it. So just it's this feedback loop. I think that's such a good analogy of what it is. Like, I'm unrested, so I'm going to do this thing that makes me think I'm rested, but it doesn't make me feel rested. So I'm going to do this thing to make me feel rested, but it doesn't. It's just this. Yeah. It's this echo chamber.
I think escapist behaviors is a good category for that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to deal with whatever is overwhelming, so you turn to something else that is saying, "Oh, I won't overwhelm you. Come here," and it turns out to be either just as overwhelming or just numbing. Like you don't even.
Yeah, I think it just numbs you.
You just turn your brain and heart off.
Yeah, it turns it off. Escape from the world that needs you.
Yeah. All right, number 9. He has slippage of spiritual disciplines. When you get over busy, the things that are truly life-giving for your soul are the first things to go rather than your first go-to.
Ooh. Preach.
Such as quiet time in the morning, scripture, prayer, Sabbath, worship, a meal with your community, and so on. So we get so busy, so we cut things out, but we often cut out the things that are most life-giving. Mm-hmm. So going for a walk with my wife might take 10 minutes and be the most life-giving thing, but I convince myself, or I feel like I don't have time for that because I'm doing this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. So that the things that are life-giving feel the most expendable at times. But I have time to watch an hour of my favorite show for sure.
For sure, yeah. That's.
But can we have 15 minutes to talk, or can we make 5 minutes to pray for our kids? I was hoping to get to this other thing done.
Yeah, I really need to sleep. I mean, yeah.
All right, the last one, number 10.
Isolation. You feel disconnected from God, others, and your own soul on those rare times when you actually stop to pray. And by pray, I don't mean ask God for stuff. I mean sit with God in the quiet. You're so stressed and distracted that your mind can't settle down long enough to enjoy the Father's company. Same with your friends when you're with them. Or also with your phone or a million miles away in your mind, running down the to-do list, or even when you're alone. You come face to face with the void that is your soul and immediately run back to the familiar groove of busyness and digital distraction. Just nail in the coffin. Just like isolation. Like feel like so overwhelmed. I just need to be alone. Like I just need to just separate myself from the world. Separate myself from God. Like just purely get away from everything that's weighing me down, or that is making me feel so frantic, anxious, sad, depressed, whatever.
Shane, what is your takeaway from all of this? What for you, for me, for people listening? Because I feel like it could sound like we're just blaming or wagging the finger or saying you're a bad person, our culture's bad, our world's bad, everything's bad. Is that what you're saying? Is that what we're saying?
Well, honestly, from the symptoms alone, not even like the or what's causing me to feel this way. Like the symptoms alone. Are you feeling this way? It makes me feel like, yeah, I'm not good. I'm not healthy, and sure I could point fingers, but I think these are really good symptoms, really good definitions of symptoms to actually make that introspective, make it point back and bring the mirror up to myself and say what is wrong with me? That's what these questions how they make me feel.
Yeah, for me it's kind of like my eyeglass story earlier of I didn't know I couldn't see until I had a glimpse of what it could be. Mm-hmm. And so even though each of these 10 symptoms are really negative, for me it feels hopeful because, well, one, there's a certain sense of I'm not alone. Mm-hmm. Like somebody else has experienced these things. Number two, it's helpful because there's words for it of that does help capture what I'm feeling. But number three, the positive side for me is if we're able to recognize these things as not okay, it gives me hope that there's another way. So I've accepted so many of those 10 things as that's just life, suck it up.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the fact that this can be identified as not normal or not a given, It allows me to dream or feel and say, oh, what would the other be like? So what if I had spiritual disciplines that were life-giving? What if my priorities were aligned? What if I wasn't irritable? What if I had energy from my family? Oh,
what if I had energy for
what if I ate well and slept well and exercise? And even as I'm saying this, it sounds like this fairy tale. Like, come on, Weber, you can't have it all.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't have to live in such a deficit in so many of these categories. So it makes me really excited to say, all right, if there is something that just on a practical level we can do, or on a spiritual level God would call us to, I am interested and eager to explore what that could be.
Yeah, I think the talking about the kind of escapist behavior kind of it, I think actually I would just say, like, I think the escapist behavior, isolation, and like hypersensitivity to things, and just out of order priorities. I feel like myself and probably a lot of my peers in my generation, like we were born and molded into this, not to play victim, but like we were kind of born and molded into this like world of cell phones and social media and consuming, like, and so just like to be able to like point and recognize like this is not restful for me. Like, no matter how many times I'm telling myself, like, just separating myself from the world to just binge this whatever thing it is today, just to escape or to just get away from people's criticisms, or just away from whatever. Like, that's not healthy. Like, it is not. Like, and I know I'm not alone in that, and I think other people have obviously very different symptoms and what might resonate to them. But I think it hit me the most later on in this chapter. These are things that I'm giving attention to help me just not worry about the problems of life, and I think escape is just such a good way to describe that.
Yeah.
But it really hit my heart and soul even more when this quote was brought up, because what you give your attention to is the person you become. And if I'm constantly just going to be living in this life of like irritability or just distraction or whatnot else, like I don't want to be that. I hope other people don't want to be that. Yeah. Certainly this is not right. And I absolutely believe that. What you're giving your attention to, what is consuming the most of your time, energy, like that is what you become. And he very much relates this to like, why are people leaving the church, like not believing in God anymore or whatever? Like I believe it because we're not giving that attention anymore. We're really like
something else is our God.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we're
lots of other things.
Yeah. Like so many other things. And like, I think when we like learn about the commandments and just like, you shouldn't have any other gods. Like as a kid, like my default like thought was always just like,
well, I'm a Christian.
Well, yeah, I'm a Christian. Well, like, and like it's not like I don't have this golden idol, right, like I'm bowing down to and claiming to be God. But the thing that is getting the most of my attention is like, is that a TV? Is that my phone? Because it sure is all else getting the most attention above anything else in this life, above relationships, above people, above what really matters, like above God. Like then that is God. That is the God in my life. Yeah. And I just, man, I think if there's so many juicy things. I think this was probably one of my favorite chapters. Yeah. Just like, man, like if people, and well, I guess there's still more beautiful parts to this, but like if people could understand like what is consuming them, what's consuming me, if I could just keep reminding myself that, like, I don't want that to be. Yeah. Like, I don't want my life to be absolutely consumed, or like my God to be things of this world.
Yeah. This is where I start to feel like such an old guy too. Yeah. Because it's so true that it goes so fast. His quote about, did you go months, years, God forbid, decades, and not actually live according to what you feel is most important? That's true. And I see that over and over again. Charlotte and I had our 19th anniversary, a couple weeks ago, and that's almost 20 years. And when we first got married, what did we think was going to be most important, and what do we still say is most important? And then over these 20 years, has that actually been true? Whoa, okay, all right. But I'll speak for me, Shane. I don't know about you, but as we wrap up here, I feel good. This is encouraging to me. I don't feel beat up by this. I feel like I just put on somebody else's glasses and I want to go see the eye doctor. Cool. I want to see leaves. I want to see peaceful days. I want to see my kids be kids, and I want to enjoy.
Dare I say, God forbid, I want to be happy.
Yeah, really. And I'll see. I think there's a weird tension I feel even in this moment, because as Christians and as Lutheran Christians here, there is a branch of Christianity in America that preaches the good news as if God's best thing for you is for you to be happy. And that's not what God promises here and now. In fact, Jesus says, take up your cross and follow him. And so sometimes life sucks, and sometimes it hurts, and sometimes evil is winning, and our only hope is in that last day God's going to remake the world. And in response to this prosperity gospel that is out in America, sometimes Christians can so downplay God's goodwill for our lives as if God isn't really good and he doesn't want good things for us. So God's will is bigger than you being happy. At the same time, I think God created us for life, that we would experience life and have it to the full. And that might mean the bitterness of repentance and sorrow, but it might also mean you smile when you hear the birds, and you love talking with friends, and you enjoy a good Pilsner, and good, you're allowed to be happy. Don't abuse your neighbor to that end. Don't, hurt other people. Don't choose your will over God's. But in light of God's will and under the cross and repentance, God, what if we're allowed to be happy and live a free life in Jesus?
Gosh, I would love to. I always think of especially Philippians, but just the books Paul writes. Some have different weights to them,
sure.
but
he's got joy in jail.
He has this joy that surpasses all understanding. That's probably just the verse that's been I think closest to my heart. It's the peace of God which surpasses all understanding.
Yeah.
Guard your hearts and minds. Yeah.
So the White House might be a mess, folks, and whoever wins in November, it might be terrible for the country and the world, but you can still sip your coffee in the morning. You can still call your mom and tell her you love her. You can still go for a walk and delight in the goodness of this life. So we're not naive. We're not pretending like everything's great and it's all butterflies and unicorns. But I think to me, there's hope in saying, let's slow down and live, and not just race through this as if there's somebody chasing me or some goal line I'm trying to get to.
Christ didn't conquer the grave for us to mope around. And just everything.
Shane, this has been joyful. Thank you. Thank you for this conversation. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah.
Just you. And our listeners as
Likewise.
well, and viewers, thanks for being part of the conversation.
Yeah, realize it takes time to listen to this, especially when we consume half of it guessing about small kitchen appliances.
I do not
80s.
apologize for that, but I will apologize.
I will not be ashamed.
No, I will apologize for the game's stupid answers, but I will not apologize for spending time on that. It's a good thing.
No, never. So spend time, delight in God's creation.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you, so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.